Hello. Today we're talking about enhancing sentence style. There are many, many ways to enhance sentence style. We're going to think about two ways in particular and refer you to some resources that you can use to find other ways to enhance your style. I also want to say that enhancing sentence style should come towards the latter part of the writing process on a project because while it might be just personally edifying to enhance sentences early on in the drafting process, in terms of the writing project, if you spend time making a sentence really beautiful and then you end up deleting that sentence entirely or the whole paragraph entirely because the idea didn't work within the writing project, then it's not as time effective, I'll say. So you always want to be thinking about yourself as a writer, but in terms of enhancing sentence style, this is what I would call sort of polishing towards the end of a writing process on a particular project. One way of enhancing your sentence style is by aiming for variety in your sentences. Variety comes in the form of length, structure, punctuation, ideas, anything you can do to vary your sentences. You want to try to avoid lulling or falling into a pattern or a trend in your writing. We all have certain kind of structures that we lean toward, but when you're in the polishing stages of writing, you want to try to vary that work so that it's interesting and engaging for readers and that they're getting everything you say, right? So sometimes the problem with patterns is that people don't look carefully enough, right, when there's a pattern, so you want to kind of aim for variety. A teacher of mine in graduate school, a writing teacher of mine, said that the secret to good writing is that good writing moves. And I think what she meant in part is that good writing has lots of this variety, right? Moving from very abstract ideas to concrete ideas, varying the kinds of punctuation you use, the sentence structure, the length. Here's an example from Ed White in an article he wrote called The Scoring of Writing Portfolios, Phase 2. And I think he does a really good job of illustrating sentence variety in these three sentences. I think it's three sentences here. Okay, so let's read it and I'll point out some of the ways that he's incorporating variety. When a student introduces a portfolio with serious reflection about it, the student is taking responsibility for the quality of the work, the choices that were involved in the writing, and the learning that has occurred or not occurred. It is a powerful metacognitive act, thinking about thinking, that no other assessment device includes. But one link in our own thinking about portfolios yet remains, and that is the purpose of this paper, to connect the power of the reflective letter to the actual scoring of portfolios. And here we have first a dash there at the end of a paragraph. We have one sentence that's about 4 lines long. The next sentence is 2 lines long, and then the next sentence is closer to 3 lines long. So you can see he's varying his length. He's also got, instead of a dash at the end, in this sentence he chooses to include a dash here. In the third sentence he includes a colon. And every sentence begins differently, right? It is a powerful, when a student, but one link. So we have a lot of variety in these sentences, and I think that's what you might want to aim for in your own writing to try to integrate some more variety. Another way to enhance your sentence style is to think about verbs. Verbs are so important. They really hold the action in a sentence, quite literally, but then for readers, they really hold the action in the sentence in terms of that's what readers kind of graft onto. There are many, many verbs in the English language. One of the most frequently used is our forms of the verb to be. And I have no problem with the verb to be. And in fact, in the example we just looked at, I think Ed White started one of his sentences using a form of the verb to be. So it's not that you want to eliminate them entirely, but you want to think about whether the choice to use to be is a choice that you're deliberately making and that is the best choice for that particular sentence, or if there might be other more exciting, stronger verbs that you could use. Here's an example, and then we'll go through 3 other examples to show you how you might want to weed out forms of the verb to be. The frequency with which writers use forms of the verb to be is interesting to me. And so here we have is the verb here. And yet, right after it, we have this great potential verb right there, interest. So instead, you could have, right after that, and now our sentence has an exciting verb in it. The frequency with which writers use forms of the verb to be interests me. And I think that that's using a verb like interests instead of to be. Let's take a look at some other examples. Vidra's article was an argument about the invasiveness of kudzu. Take a minute and see if you can, if you want to revise out the form of the verb to be, or if you want to leave it in, and if so, if you do want to revise it out, how would you do so? Welcome back. The way that I would revise this is to take out this was an, and here we have right there a possible verb, right? So I would say Vidra's article argues about the invasiveness of kudzu. If I wanted to make it even a more powerful sentence, what I might do is just say Vidra argues about the invasiveness of kudzu. I would probably want to revise this too to be more specific, like, because as a reader I'm wondering, what does she argue about it? What does she say about it? So I would probably want to specify that too. But anyways, for the verbs, Vidra argues about the invasiveness of kudzu. Here's another one. The writers were asking how to enhance their sentence style. Go ahead and try to see if you want to revise this, and if so, how. Here's my suggestion. The writers asked how to enhance their sentence style. And right away we moved from a form of to be to a great verb called asked. Here's one final example. There are many people who want to improve their writing. Now I will point out that constructions like this, there are very common, along with it is, there were, that is. So that might be one thing in particular that you want to look for. But anyways, let's see how you might want to revise this sentence to have a more powerful verb. Welcome back. My way of revising would involve starting there. Many people want to improve their writing. And I would suggest that that's maybe a more powerful choice than in this case, the form of the verb to be. So go ahead and in your writing, look for moments where you use to be. You can do a find function on your word processing program where you look for words like are, is, were, and then you can find those moments, and then you can choose whether or not you want to revise those out. Again, I'm not suggesting that you eliminate every possible instance of to be. It's fine to use it. Just make a deliberate choice about whether you want to use it or not.